Lightning, episode 11, Trial and Error. Oh, lordy lord. We got 2 episodes left. I'm not ready for this show to end. So this episode starts with good old J Jizzle. Her and Nissa, they've clicked up because now that they have the information about how Tobias was stealing metahuman DNA from babies, they found the factory where he's harnessing like all this metahuman baby DNA. This is very gross. So, so they're on comms. JJ goes down there. She starts lighting up the scientists and beating up the people because Nissa said, like, we have to get a canister. We have to get a sample of this metahuman DNA. So JJ goes down. She starts lighting up all the bad guys. She knocks them out. She gets the canister. While she's fighting them and while she's lighting them up, her powers start like fading in and out. And she's not really sure what's going on because she assumed that what was happening was because Tobias has that device that's like nullifying metahuman power. She assumes that that's the device that's just like messing with her power and it's not anything like internal or anything like emotional. But she's able to keep the charge. She ends up getting, she ends up lighting him up, and then she gets the canister and she takes it back. She takes it back to Nissa. Now Nissa and JJ both have to tell their parents about it, which isn't going to be fun because then they're going to have a conversation about how she got there. Tobias Whale, he's sitting there playing the piano, and then he gets the call, from his AI that JJ lit up his warehouse. So then he's just like, you know what, I'm gonna find out who this JJ is once and for all. So he ends up running her metahuman DNA, and then he's just like, yo, run the metahuman DNA against Jennifer Pierce's DNA. And then his computer comes back and says like, yo, they're the same person. And he's like, yo, that's bullshit. He's in shock now that he realized that JJ and Jennifer Pierce is basically the same person, and we don't know what he's gonna do with that information, but we all know he's gonna plan something. And then at that moment, like, the chief of police comes in because Tobias had just won. He won the mayor race. He just became mayor. So she comes in to kiss the ring, so to speak. And she tells him, like, she needs more metahuman weapons so her officers can be safe when they go out there and take down these metahuman threats. And then Tobias is like, I'll do you one better. He said, I'll give you this vial that basically, it's a meta booster. It'll give your soldiers metahuman powers. And then she's like, well, I don't really want my people to have metahuman powers because we're trying to stop metahumans. And then he's like, well, you carry guns because the bad guys carry guns, right? So if the bad guys have metahuman powers, why should you not have metahuman powers? And I was like, this is some bull. I hate Tobias. So she takes the metahuman boosters and then she goes away. Now the entire police force is going to be, they're going to have metahuman powers. But like he said, they are temporary powers. So I guess at the end of the day, it's not that big a deal. Jeff goes back to the house, to go talk to Lynn and the lawyer. And then the lawyer ends up telling Jeff and, and Lynn that she's going to have to take a plea deal because the case is too strong against her. So then like Jeff gets upset. He's like, yo, we ain't taking no plea deal. And then he's just like, well, you don't have a choice, and then he's just like, yo, as her husband, we ain't taking no plea deal. And he was like, first of all, you had ex-husband, bro. And and then the two of them started getting into a personal conversation that had nothing to do with Lynn going to prison. And then Lynn gets mad and she's like, oh, I'm capable of making my own decisions. Thank you very much. And then she gets mad and she walks out. And I'm like, ain't nobody ask you. Like, we know you're capable. Like, her saying that had nothing to do with what the two of them were arguing about. But anyway, so she get mad and she leave. So then Jeff goes back to the sanctum. He's talking to TC, and then TC's like, yo, I got somebody who wants to holler at you, Mr. P. So he puts good old Khalil to the rescue on the screen. Khalil pops up, and then he's like, yo, I did some investigating into one of Tobias Whale's cash houses, and I found information about some white chick named Looker. And then, he was like, yeah, I remember Looker from back in the day because, and even me, like, I forgot who she was too, because when her face came up on the screen in the last episode, I recognized her face, but I didn't remember from where. And I'm like, yo, that's that white chick that was living in the woods who's trying to snatch up those twin babies in like season 2 when that girl had that white boyfriend, and then she gave birth to 2 twins, but one baby was black and one baby was white. That white girl had like this silver slime power that when she puts it inside people, it controls people, and she can see through that person's eyes. So I remember her now. Like her name was Looker. Yeah, she was racist as hell too. Like even back then, I remember her racist ass. So Khalil said Tobias basically got his hooks into her and used her to control that black detective, the one whose eyes kept lighting up. Because this whole time I'm like, yo, why homeboy eyes keep lighting up like that? But he's not a metahuman. But it turns out that she actually got to him. Like Like Looker got to him, she put her silver goo inside of him, and she's been controlling him this whole time on behalf of Tobias, so they can put Lynn in prison and they can like disrupt and ruin the Pierce family. So now they're just like, all right. And then Khalil even said, he was just like, I'm gonna go scoop Looker up, and we're gonna use her to get you, to get you off that indictment and to get Lynn out of prison. So everybody's like, all right, cool. So and then Khalil asked about Jennifer, and then once again everybody lied to his face, about Jennifer, and then so Khalil was just like, yo, I'm gonna go snatch up Looker, I'm gonna holler back at you. Jeff ends up telling Lynn and the gang about the situation with Looker. So then Lynn and Nyssa together, they come up with a formula that can basically nullify Looker's power. Because now that they know that this black detective is consumed with Looker's power, Lynn came up with a serum. They said if he drinks this, it'll push Looker's power out of his system, and then you'll be able to free him. Once you free him, then they can use him, to tell the truth about what happened, so they can help get Lynn and everybody out of prison. So they come up with the serum. Jeff goes and talks to the other detective, Henderson's boy. I don't know why I can't remember this guy's name. The two of them have a conversation. Jeff ends up telling him that he's Black Light, and he's like, yo, we need you, bro, because we got to slip this into the detective's drink, so we can get the metahuman juice out of his system. So he got a little bit mad at first for whatever reason, and then he was just like, all right, fine. He's like, because you Black Lightning and Henderson trusted you, we gonna do it. So they bring the guy in. They're in an interrogation room together. They slip the stuff in his coffee. The guy ends up drinking it. Like he ends up like having convulsions. The silver pops out of his system. But before it happened, Looker actually spoke through him to Jeff. And then she was like, "You did this to me. I'm gonna get your old black ass." And then the stuff got out. And then when the guy came to, he was just like, "Oh, thank God." He was like, I was being controlled, and it was almost like being in the movie Get Out. But he was just like, "Don't worry, Mr. Pierce." And then he told him, he was just like, my wife Lynn, she was the one that actually came up with the serum that freed your ass. And he was like, "Don't worry, I'm gonna repay the favor. I'm gonna do what I gotta do, and I'm gonna get her out of prison." Jeff ends up going home. He tells Lynn the good news. He's just like, "Yo, we did it. We got him free, and he's gonna cancel the case, and we're gonna get you off." And then she got all excited, and she was just like, "Yay, Jefferson." It was actually, I'm gonna be honest with y'all, it was weird to see the two of them get along. Because when the two of them were like hugging and celebrating and smiling and laughing together, and then they made the comment about celebrating, how grown people celebrate. I'm watching it and I'm just like, why does this feel weird? And then I was just like, oh yeah, because they're not fighting. And see, but then she threw a little tidbit in, and I'm just like, Lynn just can't help herself. Because earlier when the lawyer had made the comment about Jeff being her ex-husband, Jeff, in that moment when the two of them were celebrating, he said, well, now that you're not going to go to jail, he said, how about we actually get remarried and just make it official, because you've been living here for the past 2-3 seasons. So he's just like, we're doing it. We're going to couples, like we're going to freaking marriage counseling. So he's just like, why don't we just get married and make it official? And then Lynn was just like, let's not talk about that right now. Let's just go upstairs and get it on. And now I'm just like, now they're going to have an argument because she don't want to get married. And I'm like, let's just enjoy the ride while we can. The two of them are on the same page. The two of them are happy. The two of them are celebrating. Let's just enjoy their happiness until she ruins it by telling him she doesn't want to get married. So then JJ and Nyssa end up telling, Lynn and Jeff about the whole deal with the metahuman boosters and the baby stuff. So they got the canister. They talk to Gamby. Gamby goes and talks to his girl. He brings her in. Nyssa comes in, and then they're just like, hey, listen, Tobias, we have the proof. Like, we actually have the metahuman DNA. Tobias Whale has been using your laboratory and using your facility to abstract metahuman DNA from pregnant women, and he's using it to create like nullifiers and meta boosters all over the city. So now she's just like, oh my God, how can I help? And then her and Gamby go down looking for promethium. They find a shitload of promethium down in the sewers, and then they just like, yo, let's get out of here because that shit's radioactive. But now her and Gamby are together now. Like they're I mean, I thought they had made amends last weekend when she came in the room with the shotgun and he put the gun down and gave her the wine, but apparently she was still mad at him. So, but they got over that now. Nyssa came in, so now everybody's on the same page. She just wants to know that the Pierce family is full of metahumans. JJ and TC were having a conversation on the roof, and TC told her that, he ended up hacking into that light-skinned boy's social media account to try to make up for the situation for the two of them, because remember, the police, they hacked his account to set up JJ so they can try to trap her. So TC did the same thing in reverse, but only this time he set it up so where the two of them were going to meet for a date. So now JJ's like, oh my God, we're going to meet for a date. So she goes down, she goes and meets the guy. The two of them have the date. They end up talking. They're holding hands. They say that they like each other. They're glad, that they're here together, blah, blah, blah. And then as the two of them are leaving the restaurant, Victor Zsasz from Gotham shows up, the dude that can control the bullets. He ends up throwing bullets at JJ. JJ tried to use her power to block it, but again, her power started to fade on her. It started to fail on her again. And one of the bullets, I guess, either one of the bullets ricocheted or the guy actually made it because he can control the bullets. Either it ricocheted or he did that on purpose and he ended up shooting homeboy in the back. And then, like the guy that, like the kid died. And that came out of nowhere. Like when the kid died, I was just like, well, damn. And then the white dude was just like, oh, Tobias Whale said, if you don't want more people to die, stop going out there as lightning. And then, on his deathbed, he was just like, oh, so you lightning, right? That was cool. I kissed lightning. And then she was just like, I'm sorry. He was like, don't be sorry. He was like, yo, go out there and light it up and be great. And that was nice. That was very nice of him to say. But I was like, that was really, I'm trying to figure out if his death was necessary or not. Because I don't know. I feel some kind of way about that because I honestly feel like he didn't have to die. But I'm willing to wait the last 2 episodes to see if there was a purpose for his death. But I don't think he had to die. And then now, like, JJ's upset, like, she's crying, she's talking to TC. TC's like, oh, it's my fault. And then she's like, oh, it's my fault. And then she talked about why her powers keep failing, and they can't figure out why her powers are failing. So now they got something they got to work out between the two of them. And then here comes good old Khalil to the rescue. Khalil goes down to Looker's hideout, because remember, like, she has all these white people under her control. So Khalil goes down there. He whoops everybody's ass, which is nice to see. Somebody was like, oh, what you doing around here, boy? And he was like, yeah, I got your boy. And then, like, he beat him up, killed a couple of people, broke a couple of arms. He runs up on Looker, and then him and Looker end up having a face-to-face. And I like how they did this because Looker has mind control powers. When Looker puts her silver slime in your body, it enables her. It's like having Wi-Fi. It enables her to control you. The problem is when she put her slime into Khalil and she was trying to control Khalil, it's not going to work the same because Khalil has the chip. He has the painkiller chip in his brain. The whole time, that whole scene, it was basically just Khalil and Looker standing next to each other with her putting goo in his system and him putting poison into her system. But the way they did it on the show, they presented it to us, the audience, as a fight. And I thought that was really cool. So they had like Looker versus Khalil. The two of them were fighting. They were getting it on. Looker ended up getting the better of him for the most part. And then Painkiller shows up and he's like, bitch, you in our house now. And then she looked at him and she was just like, oh, 2 Negroes, one for the house and one for the field. And I was like, damn. I was like, I was like, yo, we on some Tobias Whale shit now. I was like, no wonder why Tobias hired Looker to do his dirty work. Ooh-wee. So that's why I love this show, because they ain't afraid to go there. And it was so funny because even Painkiller was like, nah. It's like the two of them double teamed her. Like Painkiller immediately poisoned her. He was like, yo, we need to kill this bitch. And then Khalil was like, no, don't kill her because we need her in order to clear Mr. Pierce's name. So he's like, yo, just let me take over. Let me take over. I got it from here. So he gives her half of the antidote. And then when he gave her the antidote, he said, listen, I brought you back to life. I'm not going to kill you. But if you notice, I took away your power because his poison, he was able to nullify her power. So he said, what you're going to do is you're going to come back. You're going to come with me to Freeland. You're going to confess to working for Tobias Whale and for setting up Mr. Pierce and for setting up, like the Pierce family. And then after you do the job and after they're free and clear, then I'll give you the rest of the antidote so you can get your powers back. And I don't know why we giving this girl her power back because she's the one person that don't need it. And then she conceded. And he was like, yo, just take the L and just come with me. So she took the L and she came with them. So then, and then finally in the last scene, so then Tobias Whale, he gets the alert. Actually, he got the alert from when Painkiller attacked his facility last week when he beat up all those people and he got the ledger. So now that he knows that Khalil's back, he looked at him. He was like, this nappy-headed Negro just can't stay off my lawn. So now he called Ishmael and he was like, yo, Ishmael, I got a job for you. I got somebody that I need you to take out because he's messing up my business. And this is dope because now we're gonna get to see Ishmael versus Khalil, and I'm here for that. I would say, like, I'm 100% here for Khalil Painkiller versus Ishmael, because that's gonna be some badass shit. You know, like, one of the best fights that I thought Khalil had was when he fought Wayne Brady's character last season, when it was him versus Gravedigger. I thought that was cool, and Gravedigger actually won that fight, you know, like, for the most part. But Khalil wasn't Painkiller back then, so. You know, we'll see how this goes, but I'm looking forward to that next week. They even showed Lala still trapped in the cement, so you know he coming out of the cement soon. They're still hinting at JJ's particles being in the sky, so we'll see what happens. So like I said, this was good. This was a good episode because we didn't get any beef between Lynn and Jefferson. You know, the family's starting to they're starting to turn things around. Like, thanks to Khalil, they're starting to turn things around, and I like how they're incorporating Khalil because they're still giving us a window and an insight to the Painkiller show. So thank you for tuning in. Let me know in the comment section below what you thought of this episode. Are you more excited for Painkiller's series the more that you see him in action? How do you think things are gonna go? Do you think Lynn's gonna blow this at the end, not wanting to get married? And, you know, does Lala and the original Jennifer come back in the season finale? Because remember, we only got 2 episodes left. You know, so we're winding this thing down. But like I said, I'm definitely here for it. You know, check me out on social media. Check me out on Instagram and on YouTube. Check me out on the Tacos and Geek podcast that I do with Justin, Sean, and Gotham Geek Girl Nadia. But we talk about all this crazy comic book, anime, superheroism all over the planet. Definitely like and subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't already. Hit the notification bell because I literally cover every single DC TV show that comes out, and I also cover Marvel as well. We did WandaVision for Marvel, we did Falcon and Winter Soldier, and next we got Loki, and we've already done Batwoman, we've done Legends of Tomorrow, and for DC we still got The Flash coming up and Supergirl while we wait for the return of Superman, Lois, and Titans. So thanks for tuning in, guys. So until next week, 2 more episodes to go. Take care, let's light it up, and I know this bitch.